Y'all, new information in the Gene Hackman death case. This thing has so many twists and turns. Let me bring you up to speed really quick on what's going on. Gene Hackman and his wife mysteriously found dead. Then they found out the wife died a week before Gene did. Then on top of that, they found out that the wife died of a mysterious rare mouse bite, and Jean died a week later. Then they tried to say the mouse bite gave pneumonia-like symptoms, but the last day of her life, she was running around the Sprouts and she was running around the CVS. I said, I've had pneumonia. I know that doesn't work. Then they found out that guess what? The wife died before Jean from the bite. Gene died after. He had late stage dementia. The daughter said they were close. He was very healthy, but she didn't know. Then they found out that Gene left his $80 million fortune to his wife. Then the kids lawyered up and said, no, this woman took advantage of our dad. Then we found out that the will was going to stand up because the will was drawn out years before, like decades before he passed away. So he couldn't have had dementia. So he did that under his sound mind, completely cut his kids out of the will and gave everything to his wife. Then they found out the wife didn't have any kids, so all the money's going to go to charity. Now the kids have lawyered up again, trying to fight the will, saying this doesn't seem fair and it doesn't make sense. Now we know why they didn't talk to him. Well, guess what? Now the Santa Fe police have egg on their face because the doctor has a bombshell claim. Remember how Betsy was found passed out? There were pills on the counter. There was 2 cell phones. There was a calendar, like a planner, and then there were medical records. It looked like she might have been trying to call the doctor. Well, she actually did call a doctor. And what does this do? This puts egg on the Santa Fe police face, and it makes us wonder what really actually happened to Gene Hackman. Because listen to this. Gene Hackman, there's a bombshell. The doctor said that she called him 24 hours after the police autopsy said she died. Yo, as the drama over his inheritance explodes, they said questions have arisen concerning the timeline of events leading up to the deaths of Gene and his wife, Betsy. Radar Online can reveal that Dr. Josiah Child, a medical professor from professional from Cloudberry Health in Santa Fe, has contradicted the initial report from the Santa Fe medical examiner claiming Betty died a week before Gene. According to Dr. Child, Betty reached out to his clinic on February 12th, a day after the medical examiner stated as her date of passing. Additionally, she had canceled a prior appointment, citing her husband's poor health for the reason. The medical examiner had attributed Betty's death to hantavirus, a rare respiratory disease transmitted by rodents. Pause right there because I think it's actually very important to say that there are a few poisons that actually mimic the hantavirus in a body. I want to know if the autopsy actually checked for that. They claim she died a week before the Mississippi Burning actor succumbed to heart failure and Alzheimer's disease. They said, Betty called, this is the Dr. Child speaking. Betty called back on the morning of February 12th and spoke to one of our doctors who told her to come in that afternoon. We made her an appointment, but she never showed up. She did not show any symptoms of respiratory distress. The appointment wasn't for anything related to hantavirus. We tried calling her a couple of times with no reply. The couple were found in their Santa Fe home with Betsy on the bathroom floor, surrounded by pills, and Gene in the utility room nearby. Tragically, one of their dogs also passed away due to starvation and dehydration. This doctor's revelation has added a layer of mystery to the circumstances surrounding Betty's death as the drama surrounding Gene's inheritance blows up. According to California attorney Trey Lovell, the actor's will, last updated in 2005, named Betty as the sole beneficiary. If she died before Hackman, the estate could bypass the will altogether. Legal experts claim this timeline could mean that Gene's estate defaults to his 3 children, Christopher, Elizabeth, and Leslie, under intestate succession laws. They said the estate will actually be probated in accordance with intestate succession laws, and the children will be lawfully next in line to inherit. The state attorney also claimed the actor's will was last updated in 2005. Betty will also Betty's will also complicates matters. She left her assets to her husband with a clause stating that if they died within 90 days of each other, her estate would be placed in a trust and later donated to charity. You guys, listen, I don't know what's going on in the Gene Hackman thing. I know that there is so much to do about something. Okay. They named each other in their wills. He did. Why wouldn't he name one of you have an $80 million fortune? Why wouldn't you give one penny to your children? As much as he was a beloved actor and respected, he seemed like a see you next Tuesday of a father. Now, if you read back to his earlier life, Gene actually had a big history where every time he got drunk or he wanted to celebrate, he would literally get drunk to pick fights with people. He was known to be incredibly violent. Now, I'm not going to say it's domestic, but he loved picking fights with people at the bar. He loved knocking people out. He grew up in an incredibly tortured childhood, and he grew up to be very emotionally cold and distant from his children. Even while he was married to the children's mother, he still even says that he was not the best father or any type of father at all. It's a very, very sad case of what is going on. But I do want to know one thing, okay? Because I did a little research on this. I thought, right, since Gene might have late stage dementia, one of the commenters actually pointed out that sometimes they get very, very violent, especially if they lose their memory. Gene was known to be very violent by his own admission when he was younger. On top of that, I want to know how well the autopsy was actually performed in Santa Fe, because let me just say this, okay? And it's important to know a dead body could be infected after passing with the hantavirus, okay? In a way that would confuse an autopsy into thinking the person died from that infection. So what if she actually got knocked out? She was on the floor all the time and a mouse came along and actually nibbled on her or bit her. Now, here's the thing. Technically, it's very unlikely, but it's not fully impossible. Because after passing, the body stops circulating blood and immune responses shut down. So active infections don't behave the same way. A virus like hantavirus, like if we're talking about that, needs living cells and a working immune system to replicate in a way that leaves the usual signature an autopsy would recognize, like inflammation, lung damage, all that other stuff. Now, postmortem changes are different, right? Those are from before passing infections. The forensic pathologist can usually tell if an infection was present before passing. And of course, there's contamination versus cause of passing. A mouse bite after passing could introduce bacteria or a virus, but if the autopsy is performed, the examiner should be able to distinguish between postmortem contamination and a genuine cause. Now, here's the thing. Could they ever confuse things? Well, in extreme cases, or if the autopsy isn't done thoroughly, postmortem colonization by bacteria could make things murky, especially if the body is badly decomposed. And did they not say that Betty's passing was she was badly decomposed? Listen, but for viruses like hantavirus, again, it might be difficult to mistake that for a cause of birth, for a cause of death if they had that before they passed away. However, it does depend on the quality of the autopsy, you know? Now, while it is highly unlikely, it is not impossible. But also consider this. There are quite a few toxins that would and poisons that could mimic the hantavirus. Okay, now there are ricin, right? It's highly toxic compound from castor beans. It can cause flu-like symptoms, phosgene gas. Paraquat, it's a herbicide, and certain biotoxins like staph introxin or whatnot. Now, here's the thing. That would be it. Here's the thing. It mimics the telltale signs if you're living. However, if we're talking a deep cover up or really tricksy toxicological scenario, something would not only mimic hantavirus symptoms, but could also lead to a false positive on a hantavirus test, like a PCR, serology, or antigen test. That's a much higher level of deception, right? Now, there is immunological cross-reactivity, some toxins or infections can create antibodies or immune system responses that cross-react with certain viral tests. For example, if you had an autoimmune disease or certain bacterial infection, it would cause non-specific immune activation, leading to false positives on a serological test. That's an antibody test. And of course, we know, like we just assessed, toxins like ricin or bacterial super agents such as staph might, in theory, trigger a massive immune response. There could also be contaminated sample handling. Clearly, that would come from a sloppy autopsy, okay, or someone tampering with lab samples. In a fictional or high stakes criminal case, someone with lab access could contaminate a sample to implicate a virus like hantavirus. Now, I just want to put this in your head, and this is something really crazy. Synthetic or engineered agents. In biowarfare or advanced bioengineering, someone could theoretically um, inject them with a synthetic viral protein or RNA fragment to mimic hantavirus on a molecular level. But again, it's espion level stuff. Again, the real world false positives are usually cross reacting antibodies, non specific immune reaction, or lab communication. Um, I'm sorry, lab contamination. And again, when you look at it from lack of communication with the autopsy and what they've given the public, I don't know, guys. Listen, the more we listen to this Gene Hackman, the stranger and stranger it gets. I really do think that we should look into this more. But in the meantime, let me know what you think in the comments, and I will talk to you guys later. Bye.